Well, good morning, Wareham. It is Monday, February 10th, and I am back. Thank you for waiting for me. We have a great show here for you, the news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. This morning, working to conserve the Wareham's open space and natural resources to unite citizens in common goal of conservation and responsible land use, in addition to educating the public about the environmental and economic benefits of protecting open space and promoting sustainable development. Speaking with Mike Perrin and Kathleen Papaldo of the Wareham Land Trust, that is later on during the coffee segment. And a young musician from Bourne has caught the attention of Nashville producer. Up ahead, we'll be speaking with Brendan Munter about his music and the road ahead. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay with us because the news and the weather are next. Now, good news for the Wareham Water Department. It recently received an award for more than $100,000 in grant money from the state to create a drought management program. The grant was part of the Water Management Act, which is meant to help municipalities conserve water and plan for the future effects of climate change. Water Superintendent Andrew Reed said that the department is currently doesn't have a drought plan, in part because the district hasn't experienced a serious drought since the 50s or 60s, when the district was much smaller. And an association by the name of Clean Up of Agua Mill Pond is working to combat invasive weeds that crowd the pond. According to the president, Mike Lenihan, the nonprofit corporation is now looking to recruit new members before the start of 2020's cleanup effort. Lenin is also requesting annual dues of about $250 for neighborhood residents and $100 from other contributors towards cleanup efforts. In addition to that, he's recommending that boat owners should wash their boats before and after going into the pond, and which could help limit the spread of invasive weeds. The weeds not only limit recreational activities, but they can also pose environmental challenges. And moving on to another news, after years of planning and more than $5 million in investment by the Buzzards Bay Coalition, the newly constructed Onset Bay Center is on its track to a red ribbon opening this June. Actually, this summer, June. The Onset Bay Center is the new name of the Onset Bathhouse, which was rented and rebuilt by the Buzzards Bay Coalition to serve as a hub for classes and events in Onset and on Pickett's Island, which is owned by the coalition. The building will include a tribute to Dick Wheeler, an Onset icon and environmentalist. The Buzzards Bay Coalition is also looking to have several programs there in order to benefit the community. And they are working with several other organizations around the community, including the YMCA, in order to make these programs affordable, in addition to the Boys and Girls Club in Onset, in order to make these programs affordable regardless of the child's family means. So as I said, the opening is scheduled for this summer in June, and the coalition is accepting some applications for summer jobs. So if you are interested, you can contact the Buzzards Bay Coalition through buzzardsbay.org. And a citizen's petition to name the new elementary school has been submitted This comes after selectmen denied the change of naming the school from Wareham, from Dickus Minot Forest Elementary School to Wareham Elementary School. So this petition is going to go to town meeting in order for residents to finally cast their vote on which name they prefer. And to another news, former town clerk Mary Ann Silva came before the Board of Selectmen to clarify that she does not support making the position of town clerk appointed rather than elected. At the June 14th Selectmen meeting, representatives of the Charter Review Committee presented some of the changes they are proposing to the town's charter, which delineates the structure of the town's government. One of the committee's recommendations was to make the town clerk position an appointed one rather than elected. Charter Review Committee Chair Judy Whiteside told selectmen that the committee, including Silva, voted unanimously to favor the change. And that concludes this morning news headlines. And now we're going to move on to our weather forecast. So cloudy today with some showers, not much sun out there. Terrible day to be outside. High around 45 degrees, winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Chance of rain is 70%, so there is no escaping it. Rain will come and will continue throughout the night. We are looking at 36 for low. Tomorrow, periods of rain, a high at 46 degrees. Winds will subside a bit. We are looking at 5 to 10 miles per hour with rainfall near a quarter of an inch, low around 30 degrees. And here is a look of the weather for the rest of the week. And so we're going to move on to our first featured program of the day. Wareham Week newspaper just turned 10 years old this January. And I had a great interview with the founder and the publisher of the paper to talk about the brave start and the years ahead. Take a look.
I wouldn't have started it if I wasn't reasonably optimistic that it would be a good business idea, but looked at from the outside, starting a newspaper in January in the middle of the Great Recession would not be a strategic planner's dream. Going into that, and a community that is, for all its super positive things, is economically challenged. I'm not sure I would have picked Wareham, but I knew Wareham. I'd lived there for more than 30 years. Raised a family here, and for that reason, I picked Wareham.
So tell me about your first year.
It was a wild ride.
Yeah.
And we launched into a fairly politically charged environment. I think part of it was driven by the Wareham Observer, and I think there are some of our early supporters who felt like we were launched as an anecdote to the Wareham Observer, which definitely had a point of view. And we didn't have the opposite point of view, but we had no point of view, which was different. But that wasn't really the reason. But there was a lot of political maneuvering in town that was tough for two brand new journalists right out of school. First editor Cyrus Moulton right out of Columbia Journalism School, and first editor Jamie Rebhan, who people in Wareham may know as Jamie Rebhan Buckminster now. And we were all sort of figuring out what we were doing as a business, and being accused at the same time of other things, of being the political tool of the cranberry industry. Go figure. You know, we rent this office space from, you know, the Deacus Real Estate Trust, and, you know, the cranberry industry wasn't sending me money, I was sending Deacus money. But, you know, but it was fun. I mean, creating something new is always, you know, a charge.
How is it? What's the experience like covering this town? You talked about when you came in, it was a very politically charged environment, a lot of distrust. That is still an issue that I'm facing in this industry. Getting interviews with department heads, there's still that mistrust with the media. So what is your experience covering this town and getting what you need out of this town?
Well, let me back up a minute.
Okay.
I mean, since we launched Wareham Week, after about a year and a half, we felt like we had proved the model, that what we were doing in Wareham was working as local media, and that it was ready to be replicated elsewhere. And we started Sipacan Week with the same model, covering Marion, Mattapoisett, and Rochester, and then several years later started Dartmouth Week, covering the town of Dartmouth. It's always a challenge for a reporter anywhere to get information, and, you know, I think it's a lot about ability to develop relationships, and as you said, you know, the trust. Just getting, you know, being able to talk openly to people. That's a real challenge that I think every young journalist faces, of, you know, developing the trust with sources, and while still running the business, selling ads that, you know, make sure that everyone's paycheck clear every week.
Yeah. What was your motto? You talked about the motto when you began, and they said it proved success. So it's like you replicated it in other towns. When you were starting this business, what was the motto, and is it now 10th anniversary? You know, are you staying true to your initial idea, initial concept of the role you wanted to play in this town?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think every so often in trying to clean up my computer files, I stumbled across the PowerPoint presentation that I had with the, you know, the business model when I was looking for financing for it, and it's pretty darn accurate. I mean, I think the key points, as I said earlier, were a product both online and in print that's of modern design. I mean, we talk about being tight, bright, and right for, you know, shorter stories. I think being obsessively local, as I call it. I think that in the industry they call it hyper-local, but you know, obsessively local captures the idea that we are just about Wareham. We are not about things that interest people in Wareham, which unfortunately I tell organizations out of New Bedford all the time, that, you know, yes, I know people from all, you know, 5 of the towns we serve, you know, go to your theater productions or, you know, look at your galleries. But if we started expanding our, you know, our coverage umbrella to things of interest to people in Wareham, we would be covering the Red Sox. And guess what? We're not.
Yeah.
You know, I think keeping the really tight local focus, and that's something I get a lot of feedback that's positive. It allows us to do a product that, you know, something on every page is relevant to everyone in Wareham. And free.
What do you say to the argument that print journalism is dead?
It isn't here. The newspaper itself was an overnight success. Within 3 months, we were the newspaper of record for Wareham. And I've never looked back. I mean, more copies of Wareham Week are picked up every week than there are households in the town of Wareham. Now, does this mean that everybody reads Wareham Week? Pretty darn close. You know, obviously because some, you know, copies at Shaw's are probably picked up by people who live in Rochester, for instance. But, you know, I don't see print going away in any of the communities we serve, but I think we have a model that if people should gravitate to wanting all their news online, and wanting to read us online as in paper, I think we have a model that will still be economically sustainable.
Mm-hmm. So this is last year, towards the end of last year, you made an executive decision to omit online comments.
Oh boy.
So let's talk about that. Do you ever worry that you are censoring speech?
No. And people, we still welcome letters to the editor that appear online and in print, and we want people to express their opinion. I loved the comments when we started. There were probably hundreds of people from across the political spectrum, you know, the Wareham political spectrum. I'm not talking Democrats and Republicans. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why. I'm the source for that conversation slowly migrated elsewhere to other, you know, social media platforms, and the comments had sort of dwindled to, you know, typical of the maybe dozen commenters, active commenters that we had left at the time when we shut them off. Was, you know, Joe called Jack a moron, or, you know, look at that lady in the mugshot. Does she have birds nesting in her hair? And, you know, not my job to referee a food fight.
Yeah.
And that's what it had dwindled to, which is sad. I mean, I wish we could have the robust forum back, but I don't think I know how I could get that back.
What's next for you? What does 2020 bring?
Well, good question. We will see. I think some of the kinds of things that I'm looking at doing is that I would love to, with the staff, work on taking maybe a little bit of more of their time. This is the time management thing again.
Yeah.
To work on larger projects, on issues that affect Wareham.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to sit down with me to share about your 10 years in business here in Wareham. I definitely depend on the paper every single day to do what I need to do.
The website every single day.
The website, yeah, the website. So I'm very grateful, and I'm sure many feel the same way, and we wish you all the best. I cannot wait to sit down with you to talk about your 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary. It'll be there. And I have confidence.
Yes.
So, you know, what we will look like in 2030, I have no idea. Whether I will still be at the helm, I have no idea. But I have confidence it will be.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
So welcome back. We have our first guest in the studio, Brandon Manta, right?
Right.
He is, would you be called the triple threat or the double threat? Is there a double?
Whatever you want to call me.
Whatever. Well, so he's a musician. He's a musician from born. He's only 19 years old and has quite the talent. He plays multiple instruments. He writes his own music. And he sings as well, and he's been making videos on YouTube. So before we dive into more about him, the initial interview, let's take a look at one of his songs called Broke as Hell.
This song is called Broke as Hell. If I had a penny for every time you told me it'd be okay, if I had a nickel for every time you were there by my side, if I had a dime for every moment filled with love and joy, if If I had a coin, no, a coin for all the things you've done for me, for me, for me. I'd be broke as hell, I'd lose my house, they take all my furniture too. Oh, I pack my take all of it underneath the overpass by the shell. You make me broke as hell. You make me broke as hell. If money could buy happiness, I would spend it all on you. But money can't buy happiness, and all of it's worth nothing spent on you. If I did that, I'd be broke as hell. I'd lose my house, they'd take all my furniture too. Oh, I'd pack my take all of it underneath the overpass by the shell. You make me broke as hell. You make me broke as hell. If I'm not worth your time, then you're not worth my money, baby. You make me broke as hell. I lose my house, they take all my furniture too. Oh, I pack my take all of it underneath the overpass by the shell. I'd be broke as hell. Oh, I'd be broke as hell. You make me broke as hell.
All right, so we need to find out what broke as hell actually meant.
Oh yeah, so the saying goes, if I had a nickel for insert thing, I'd be rich. But at the time, I don't know, I felt like nobody around me was really, I don't know, giving the energy that I put out. So I wrote that as a response, just kind of as a twist on that, you know.
At the time, meaning high school?
Yeah, like right around senior year high school, coming out of high school. Yeah.
How was your high school years?
Pretty good. I wasn't like unpopular or popular. I was just kind of around, just kind of floated.
The middle child of high school.
I guess so, yeah.
So you have been, tell us about your journey until now. When did you start learning to play instruments and realizing that you had this passion for music?
So I got a guitar when I was 10, electric guitar, because every kid wants an electric guitar at some point. I started taking lessons, and yeah, I don't know. After about a year of taking guitar lessons, it was just something, I don't think I realized it at the time, but it was definitely something I wanted to continue doing. And then as I left middle school, when I was 14, I started to kind of experiment with singing. I hadn't been singing like my whole life or anything. I started when I was 14, just kind of singing along to some songs on the radio and stuff like that. And I decided to take some lessons. So I went and I found some lessons with a vocal coach. His name was Adam Kelly. And on my first lesson, he said, "Okay, we're going to go in there. You're going to sing for me, and I'm going to give you." He has this scale that he did. He said, "I'm going to give you a 1, 2, or a 3. A 1 meaning maybe don't continue. 2 meaning okay, there's something there, but it needs work. And 3, you pretty much got it." And he gave me a 2. So
okay,
that gave me what I needed to keep going. And so with his encouragement, I kept practicing, and he let me perform a song in between the sets of his band at the Marshfield Fair. So it was after that I kind of fell in love with
Were you prepared
performing.
for the one?
Not really.
All right, so you have been very successful, you know, in your own right. I've been seeing you doing your little concerts here and there, and you're not very shy. You go anywhere, you get invited, right?
Yeah.
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 How is that feeling to perform your music in front of people you do not know?
It's terrifying,
Mm.
but if all goes well, it's great. It's amazing.
If all goes well, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And how many times doesn't it go well?
It's a pretty even mix of
Okay.
50-50. You never know when walking into a place if people are going to receive you well. Sometimes it doesn't seem like they receive you well, and they do. Sometimes, you never know. You never know. But every once in a while, someone will come up to me and they'll say, who sang that song? What song is that? I'll say it's mine. I'm like, oh my God, it's great, and that's all the validation that I need. That's no better feeling than knowing that your music connects with someone. And
Now, there are a
means
lot
something.
of milestones that you need to, well, not milestones, there are a lot of hurdles that you need to go through in this industry, like many other industries, but, entertainment industry that you're in. They don't just look at your vocal, they look at your style, the way you look, the way you do things, okay? So there are a lot of checklists that you need to be,
Yeah.
checking. So what are some things that you value in yourself that gives you that go ahead, make you feel strong and feel like, okay, you belong in this industry?
I think a big one is honesty. You have to, I feel like, you have to be honest with yourself and what you make. And for me personally, I'm like a perfectionist, and 90% of the time I hate everything I do the first time I do it. So, yeah, I just try to speak my truth and do the best that I can. And I feel like just those two things would make anyone's career for sure.
Well, it's definitely making your career, because you posted on your Facebook page that you recently, your music was heard by Dean Miller Entertainment in Nashville. So
it
tell
was.
me about them and why this is a big deal.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. When he first messaged me, because he just messaged me, like DM'd me on Instagram, and I wasn't prepared for it at all. And at first, I thought it was just like some random automated thing by some random guy who just wants people to come to a studio and record because he charges money for it. But apparently I know nothing about anything, because I had no idea that he was as big as he was. I'd never heard of him, maybe just because he was generation before me, but. My parents assured me that he is indeed very popular and very well known.
Your parents.
Yeah. So I looked him up, and his father was Roger Miller, who sang "King of the Road," and that went over extremely well and was extremely popular. And he has continued that. He's an amazing producer. He works with amazing people, people that wouldn't even dream of meeting, never could have, like Willie Nelson
Yeah.
or Dolly Parton, those kind of people. And I was like, well, so that's the fact that he saw me and thought that I might have something that he would want to work with in the studio was just amazing.
So he said, come on down?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He sent me a message with all of his information about his studio and what the process would be like, and I sent him a couple of my songs that I just recorded on my phone, and he liked them and he wants to work with them and produce them.
So that's the validation, right? The validation you've been waiting for.
Yeah, that's what we work for. Work for people to assure us that we are on the right path.
So in this industry, people say you gotta work hard, you gotta work hard. What does working hard means?
Working hard means, well, it means, yeah, like I was saying before, it means being honest and doing your best. Everyone's hard work is a little bit different. For me, it was more songwriting. I'm an okay singer, and I'm an okay guitar player or piano player, but I'd say I work hardest at writing songs and constructing songs. And yeah, I was just doing that to the best that I can and sharing it with as many people as possible, hoping that someone would like it or want to work with me and help me improve. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is next for you. When are you meeting with Dean Miller?
So I'm going to meet with him some point this week, just over Skype, to go over the songs and talk about where we see them going and what kind of production we want. And if all goes well, I should hopefully be in the studio sometime next month or the month after. Sooner the better, yeah.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Do not forget about us, this little studio. Once you make it big. So tell me about your upcoming concert or appearance.
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing next week, or is it this week now, on the 22nd.
Yeah, the 22nd next week.
Yep, it's at the Den in Dennis, and it's from 6 to 9. It's going to be a cover show like I always do, but I'm going to be playing like a lot, like at least half an hour, 45 minutes worth of my originals, as many as I can fit in there, just to, you know, kind of show people what I've been working on. Kind of treating it as a little bit of a send-off party. So everyone that I know in town who's, you know, seen me, you know, do what I've been doing, who wants to, you know, congratulate me or come by and have something to eat and just talk for a while, they can come and, you know, have a good time.
Very
Should be
good.
fun, yeah.
Are you dating as well?
No, not right now.
All right, so hopefully some young girls can come as well to congratulate you, and you could find a potential girlfriend.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, before we play your next clip, do you want to add anything that I haven't asked that you feel like, okay, I want to say this?
No, I can't really think of anything.
Well, if you think about something, you're more than welcome to come back here as many times as you like. You know,
Thank you.
We have met. This is our second time
Yes.
meeting. You know, and I was quite impressed by your fondness of playing multiple instruments, and most of it you have taught yourself. You know, you learned the basics from somebody, but then
Yeah.
you taught yourself, and you're doing it. So I was very impressed, and I wish you all the best in your journey. And congratulations
Thank you.
for making this milestone.
Thanks so much.
So that was Brendan talking about his music career. He is from Bourne, and he plays multiple instruments. He sings and writes his own songs. He recently caught the attention of Dean Miller of Dean Miller Entertainment in Nashville. So there are a lot of big things coming up his way. So before we say goodbye to him, here is another song, a mashed up video of different songs. So take a look.
I'm willing to crash and burn, living life like we never learned. I'm ready for late night romance. I'm willing to crash and burn, oh, living life like we never learned. I'm ready for late night romance, and running through the streets and starting fires. I'm living for fast rides, no hands, and I don't want to die before I'm young. So even if we have no chance, you know that I'm ready to crash and burn with you. Red sun, saltwater dripping, haze, stick shift, summer Sahara, chains. We ain't alone. Blue lights on the horizon, dust clouds filling the sky. If they get the cuffs on us, it's 25 to life. Run, run your own direction, I'll lead them down a different road. And it's not over until it's all been said and done. If you leave now, you'll never know how much it hurts. It hurts so good and so bad. It's all that. Yeah, you're all I want, you're all I need. You're everything, everything. And how can I stand here with you and not be moved? You take me down, spin me around. You got me running all the lights. Don't make a sound, talk to me now. Let me inside your mind. I don't know what you're thinking, sugar, but I just got that feeling, sugar. No, and I can hear the sirens burning, red lights turning. I can't turn back now. So hold on tight. I know I I needed you, but I never showed. Now I wanna stay with you until we're gray and old. Just say you won't let go. Say you won't let go. Just say you won't let go. Say you won't let go.
Today's cell phones are not only an extension of our arms, but a life tool. Hello, I am Maureen Farrington from Advantage Custom Apps. I am here today to talk about a certain app, a tool that will help you navigate your way through the Wareham community. The WCTV app places your local community in the palm of your hand. The app is a place where you will find local events, town meetings, local and school sports, community interest stories, compelling interviews, and most of all, the ability to shop local. Connect to the Wareham app by going to your web browser and typing in wctv.app. And then, once you bring up the web link, you have the opportunity of adding WCTV's app to your home screen. Once you download the app and save it to your home screen, you will then have the opportunity to, with the touch of a finger, hit the call button, which we call WCTV, the refer us button. You can refer the app to your friends and families. There's a Facebook share button if you'd like to put that on your Facebook page as well. And here is the menu tab. On the menu tab, we have YouTube videos, new program proposal, events that WCTV is hosting, a photo gallery, contact button, and can lead you right to their website. We also have a Shop Local tab. When you touch on that, you'll see the local businesses that you can frequent. Also, there's an About Us tab telling you some information about WCTV, their hours and directions. This here will take you right to their Facebook page. There is a donate button if you would like to donate to WCTV, and a join button that will let you join their community. Many local establishments are listing their business on the WCTV app. And you can too. It's a great way to showcase your business to your existing customers and your potential new ones. For a nominal fee, you could list your business on the Shop Local tab as well. A percentage of that fee goes to fund a scholarship for an outgoing senior. So be in the now and get the WCTV app on your home screen.
Well, hello and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. Okay, so on this day in history, robots won. In the year 1996, the world chess champion Garry Kasparov lost the game to the computer Deep Blue. The IBM product faced the chess champion in 5 more games, and despite its initial victory, it could not keep up. The humans were the human here won 3 games in total and tied twice. In a rematch the following year, Deep Blue ended up winning a 6-game series. This was just the first step of many that will lead to the robots taking over the world. On this day in American history, the French and Indian War ended in 1763. The war saw the Americans still under British control, fighting with the French, who continued to push their boundaries in the North America. Allying with many Native American tribes, the French were able to defeat the British several times. In the early battles of the war, the British ended up being victorious, however, by joining forces with the Russians. The war ended on this day through signing of the Treaty of Paris. And also on this day in alien music history, Ziggy Stardust debuted in 1972, months before his breakout album named Ziggy Stardust. And the Spiders from Mars, David Bowie debuted the character in a small London pub with only a few dozen audience members. Bowie had released a few albums at this point, but was far from a household name. The debut of this character, Ziggy Stardust, would lead to several other personas that he would adopt throughout the years, and would help him build his iconic name to this day. And also for today's birthday, shout out goes to uno momento, Stephanopoulos. Yes, George Stephanopoulos. Born in Fall River, Massachusetts in 1961, George is a journalist and television host with shows like Good Morning America and ABC's This Week. And happy birthday to everybody else celebrating their big day today. That is all for this morning history segment. To learn more cool historical facts, you can go online under history.com. Stay with us. The coffee segment is next. But first, let's take a look at our events calendar. Okay, so welcome back, and now it is the coffee segment. With me are Mike Perrin, Land Stewardship Coordinator, and also Kathleen Papalado.
Perfect.
Okay, President and of the Wareham Land Trust. They're here to talk about the Wareham Land Trust, who they are, the upcoming events, and why you should care. So stay with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here. It was quite the surprise to see you, young man. His brother and I graduated together, class of 2012, Franklin High School. And
Nice.
you guys are twins.
We get that all the time, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, so welcome. I'm happy to have you in the studio. You work to preserve Wareham
Yes.
and land and water, right?
Yes.
Water resources.
Protect the land and the natural resources in Wareham.
Mm-hmm.
Wareham has 54 miles of coastline. It's a beautiful, pristine area that is rapidly changing. And the open spaces that, I'm not from here originally, but the open spaces that have been here are disappearing quickly. And there's some areas that can hold development, and there's some areas that shouldn't be developed. Mm-hmm. So we do our homework to see what areas are best to be preserved forever. And so far, we have protected
35 different properties. We have bought a few, 17 fee properties is what you call them when you purchase them outright. And we also have 18 conservation restrictions on properties around Wareham, totaling about 680 acres of protected land.
So what is threatening your work in Wareham?
development.
Okay.
Development is a big a big deal because properties will come up available, land will come up for sale, and some of it's land that's never been developed. So it's beautiful, pristine forest. It might be shorefront. And the Wareham Land Trust is a member-based organization. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Our members, which we total around 400 members, and it grows every year, are supporting the organization. We seek out grants from the federal government, the state government, other organizations. We partner with organizations, Buzzards Bay Coalition, Mass Audubon, Wildlands Trust.
The town.
The town, Mass Audubon, if I didn't say that. Numerous organizations, but it takes a while to get grant monies. It's a whole process to go through to show that you can support the land, how will you take care of it, and the lands that we protect, which as Mike said, almost 700 acres now, is protected in perpetuity. It has legal restrictions on it that it will never be developed. And the majority of our lands are open to the public with beautiful walking trails that Mike has been doing a stellar job keeping open and clear and well marked so no one gets lost.
Very good. So you talked about funding, right? Getting grants, money. So apart from funding, are there any obstacles along the way that may prevent or preclude the organization from doing its work?
Well, sometimes a developer who usually has cash on hand will come in, depending on the property owner. The property owner may want to sell it right away because they need the money. We can't get money that fast. It takes a while. It's a very long and lengthy process, but when it's done correctly, that property is protected. That, I would say, is probably one of the main obstacles. It's costly to protect land. You know, surveys have to be done, title searches have to be done, and then you're hunting for grant monies. And sometimes it may take several organizations and grants to come up with enough money. Buying land is not inexpensive. It's big.
Yeah, and like Kathy said, we really do our homework to seek out those valuable lands, valuable as well as vulnerable lands in Wareham, and hopefully protect them through either outright purchase or a conservation restriction before developers can get word of them or start altering the land in such a way that might harm the environment.
Now, so those who are not members of the Wareham Land Trust or do not know, or shouldn't say they don't care about protecting land.
Right.
Tell us or try to cement the idea. Why is this work so important, so crucial in our region?
Well, number one, you're protecting fresh water that's under the ground. Also fresh water. Wareham has numerous lakes and ponds that are fresh, and numerous rivers. I think people have learned through the years, especially Boston Harbor being a perfect example, once something is ruined, polluted, or contaminated, it may or may not be able to be cleaned up, because some contaminations you can't clean up. And pollution is very expensive to clean up. Boston Harbor cost a fortune to clean up. Now it's clean. Keep it that way. Many of our waterways, this area could be settled in the old days because we have beautiful, fresh drinking water. You don't settle where there's no water.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Kathy's hinted upon this a little bit already. So ecosystem services, those water filtration, carbon sequestration, ways that the environment is actually helping us that we might not see or might not actually put down a dollar value on just yet.
Climate change.
Climate change, resiliency is a big one. So on top of that, we also protect lands for recreation abilities, for people to connect to the lands in Wareham, to explore the ecology and phenology of the land, and be able to have some sort of pride and ownership in the beautiful and unique place that we call home.
We have a series ongoing right now, once a month, walks, they've called mindfulness walks.
Yes.
All these are open to the public. You don't have to be a member of the Wareham Land Trust. And that's a big feature that the Land Trust has been able to offer. And part of that, we have gotten grants from the Mass Cultural Council that has helped us cover expenses. Because as much as you would love to give everything away, we can't do that. We're member supported, we're all volunteers, we're not paying a staff member. We're all here because we believe in this mission. And the mindfulness walks, you know, Japan discovered this, I guess you could say, several years ago. They call it forest bathing. I don't know what the word is in Japanese, but in English, we'll use English, forest bathing. And what we've done is one of our service members from TerraCorps takes people out for a walk in the woods. You walk for a little bit, then you stop and pause. You're not talking. And when you pause, she may give you some little breathe in. What do you hear? And you talk about it. You need to turn off electronics now and then and expand. It's good for your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it sounds funny, but it's true.
Yeah. I think I took one of those walks.
We just had one yesterday.
Sunday, yep.
Yes, I took one of those walks maybe 2 years ago, and it was quite lovely. We were actually tracking birds and
Mike's the bird man.
My
Oh,
specialty.
you are the. Oh,
Yeah.
goodness, okay. So we have a big problem here. You talked about that development is threatening the Wareham Land Trust or the ability to protect land. So we have a big issue here in Wareham, and that is affordable housing, and people are trying to get more and more of affordable housing. So how do you balance the topic or the argument between protecting land and people need place to stay?
Oh, totally, totally. Several years ago, we were part of a project with the Buzzards Bay Coalition that partnered with affordable housing in Father Bill's Mainspring. Mainspring? Yes, on Main Street. And the two organizations, Buzzards Bay Coalition and Father Bill's, worked together. They purchased the property, which had an apartment house on it. So Buzzards Bay Coalition wasn't interested in the housing, but Father Bill's was. So they worked together. So they cut the land out of it. That land has walking trails on it, connects to 2 other parcels, so it's over 120 acres perhaps that you can walk. And then the apartment house is affordable housing. That was a partnership. And when you can do partnerships like that, also we've gotten, we the Land Trust and other organizations, the Community Preservation Act, one of the facets of that is affordable housing. If there's a property that has housing on it, which we don't have any right now, that's one of the aspects you look at, is can we partner with somebody that they could work with the housing part of it, but we would like the land part of it. And then you can apply for CPA funds, which usually will help because you've covered 2 categories.
Very good. So you talked about programs that you do or host, like the walk in the forest. How about educational programs? How connected are you to the local schools?
You want to take that?
Awesome. Yeah, so we have many partnerships around Wareham. This year, Wareham Land Trust has 3 TerraCorps members. TerraCorps is a state AmeriCorps program focused on environmental action. So we have 42 members across the state serving with land trusts, with farms, and with other nonprofits that are making strides to protect and educate people about environment in Massachusetts. So this year, Wareham Land Trust has the capability and capacity to build upon programs that they never really have had before. So it's a really exciting time. Some of the partnerships that we have made are with the Wareham High School. On February 27th, we are hosting an Osprey hacking presentation at the Wareham High School, supported by Mass Autobahn as well as the Wareham High Environmental Club. Osprey hacking is the process of taking chicks from healthy populations, in this case the Westport River, and relocating them to different states where the species is endangered, in this case Illinois. So we have partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club as well, and the Wareham Week to get the word out, and this new partnership here, we're really excited to be here and get the word out a little bit more.
And there's the after-school program, the CARE program, that Amy was doing, and Melissa is going to be picking it up. So it's children of all ages. Also, we have some of the walks, I mean, it's for families. it's not like you're doing, you know, hand over hand climbing or anything like that. Families are encouraged to come on them.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now, how many minutes do I have, Bob? 1 minute. Okay. So I'm very thrilled that I got to have both of you in the studio.
We're happy to be here.
It's a big topic and there's a lot to discuss. So with that, I will extend another invitation for you to come back.
Great.
Any day you would like, so we can continue on this discussion.
Okay.
And also any upcoming events that you have to promote them.
Okay.
So Wareham community can be there. With that, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us this morning for another Good Morning Wareham episode. With me is Mike Perrin, Land Stewardship Coordinator, and Kathleen Papalado.
That's good.
Okay, President of the Wareham Land Trust. Forgive my pronunciation. We're talking about the Wareham Land Trust. It's a great thing that we have them in our community helping us protect our land and natural resources. Plenty of ways for you to join and actually take advantage of this organization.
Yes.
So you can visit their website. Just type Wareham Land Trust. They're not hard to find at all.
No.
And visit their website and find out how you can get involved. With that, if you missed us this morning, this show will air this evening at 6 p.m. And we'll also go on our YouTube channel at Wareham Community Television on YouTube. I'll be back on Friday. We do not have a show on Wednesday. Therefore, this show will also re-air on Wednesday in the morning at 9 and at 6 p.m. in the evening. So thank you so much and have a pleasant day, Wareham.